Sigma 50 to 100 is kind of the awkward middle child of the family of Sigma lenses. His older brother is tall, lean, handsome, and yes, I'm talking about the Sigma 70 to 200 f2.8 full frame telephoto lens. And the firstborn son is none other than the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8, which is an APS-C lens, the one that's filming me right at this very moment. But we're not talking about the popular kids in this video. We're talking about the awkward middle child, the Sigma 50 to 100 f1.8. If I know anything about weird kids, which believe me, I have some experience in, then I can tell you that most weird kids are actually pretty cool under the goofy exterior. And I'm calling this goofy and awkward because it's just not your typical mainstream telephoto lens, if that's a term. Instead of 70 to 200, it's 50 to 100, but on a crop sensor, the equivalent is about 75 to 75 to 150. It's in my notes. You're welcome. And honestly, that's all I would ever need from a telephoto unless I'm filming things on the moon. This chunky zoom boy is honestly my favorite lens that I own, even though it's probably the lens I use the least. But I think that's why I love it. It's special and it's beautiful. This video isn't really like a full review on this lens, and it's not an X-T4 review. It's just kind of discussing my experience with this lens paired with the X-T4. But to be fair, I have owned the 50 to 100 for probably 3 or 4 years now and used it back in the old GH5 days, RIP. The reasons why I love it, the lens. We need to hold a cute animal while we do this part, I think. Oh, hi, this is Tommy. You guys have seen Tommy before. Look at his face though. Hi. The first main reason why I love the 50 to 100 is because it's a perfect pair with the 18 to 35, the lens I know I talk about way too much. You get a very consistent look because they're both the Sigma Art lenses. You get a 1.8 aperture on both lenses, so you don't have to change exposure when you're doing run and gun stuff. You could just swap lenses and keep your settings the same, so it's very quick. And with those two lenses, you get any focal length from 18 to 100 millimeters, which is pretty much any range you would need for most projects. And it's only 2 lenses, so it just kind of keeps your kit smaller and you're still getting awesome quality. This is actually probably as big as my cat. Is it? It kind of looks like I'm choking him, but I promise I'm not. Second thing, I love that the 50 to 100 doesn't have a protruding front element like a lot of the Canon zoom lenses. I like that everything is within one beefy body. It is a heavy lens for sure, but you could put focus gears on this lens and use a matte box and not have any problems with it. Bro, I can't believe you're just chilling like this. This is awesome. The heavier lens will help you get smoother handheld footage. That can be a problem with cameras like the X-T4 is it's such a light, compact body, and if you have a light lens on that, you're gonna get some shake nash. Even the IBIS can't fix that. So having a big, juicy lens like this will actually help you get smoother handheld. Oh, he's gone. He's out. He's tired of this production. Thirdly, why I love the 50 to 100 is simply just the image. It's honestly so beautiful. And I think I realized it when I filmed this music video that I'm showing you right now with the GH5 a few years ago. It's just creamy. That's the word that comes to mind when I think of this lens. It's creamy, or cream nache, as a lot of people have said before. And yeah, it's $1,000. It's expensive for a lot of us, but it's still not that bad when you look at what you're getting. I conducted a few IBIS tests, comparisons with the X-T4 and the 50 to 100. Obviously, that's what this video is about. Here's what I learned. Shooting handheld with this lens in any way is pretty risky. I feel like the IBIS almost makes it look worse because the X-T4's IBIS just really isn't up to par yet. It's decent, but not amazing. I kind of think if you're gonna shoot handheld with this setup, just turn IBIS off completely and maybe add some weight to your rig, whether that's a top handle, a monitor, a V-mount battery, just a brick taped to your camera, whatever it takes to get that smooth footage. If you're shooting handheld but standing still with the X-T4 and this lens, you can definitely get good results. I just have a cage on my camera and turning the IBIS on helped a lot. I was just kind of standing still, had a little bit of that rocky, wavy motion, but it still looked good. Surprisingly, the autofocus with the X-T4 and the 50 to 100 isn't terrible. And I was doing my tests in a pretty contrasty environment. There was sunlight behind the subject. We were in shade from the trees. So it was already a difficult autofocus scenario, but I kept finding that the lens was actually doing a decent job. It's kind of noisy, and you can see the numbers just like spinning around super fast because it's so massive. Overall, I really love the 50-100 on the XT4. To me, it kind of feels like the awkward middle child grew up and found himself a girl that loves him just for who he is. I'm that girl. I don't know, they make a good pair. They're good together. And sure, he's not as long as the other boys out there, but damn it, he does a great job. And he's pretty beautiful too. Oh, also, I used this lens last week on a shoot and filmed a van exploding. More on that very soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, people watching the video. Thanks to all the patrons on the screen. Thanks to the top 2 patrons, Nia and Cash.